Spring flowers. Expanding the split primary palette. There are so many different pigments and colours you could use to get the same effect. The best way to find out what you like is to experiment with what you have, and then you can identify any gaps in your palette. When beginning a painting, ask yourself what hue do you need. Looking at what paints you have, you can figure it out. Looking at the daffodils, I can see two types of yellow, a warm yellow-orange and a cool yellow-green. The cool yellow. Straight out of the tube, the cadmium yellow lemon is too warm. It needs to be more yellow-green. I could use any blue, blue-green or yellow-green that contains yellow to get that bright spring green. If I use a green that has red in it, a warm blue that wants to mix purple, it will create a muted green. For the demo, I use cobalt and phthalo green to mix the identical hue of yellow-green. They are both blue-greens, so why did I choose these two? They were left over and out on my palette. My mix is too light when compared to my setup. I know I need to add less white. Yellow-orange. The same is true when mixing the orange yellows. The pigments from the tube are either too orange or too green. I can mix them to get the right hue. As long as it wants to mix orange, it will work. Using cadmium red, a warm red, or cadmium orange is orange. We'll get the same result. As my bucket is orange, I might use cadmium orange, as no mix of yellow and red will be as saturated, but is at the focal point. Shady yellows. How do we mix yellows and shadow? Usually, we add blue or black to a mix to deepen the value. When we do this to yellow, it goes green. As we observed earlier, the daffodil has a lot of yellow-green, but what about those warmer shadows? Using our split primary palette, we would add red to the mix. But with the whole paint drawer open to us, we have too many options. The first question to ask ourselves is, what is the complementary colour of yellow? Purple. But not all purples are the same. Here are two I like: ultramarine violet and manganese violet. The first is a blue purple and the second a red purple. It is not surprising that mixing ultramarine violet with yellow makes green. The manganese violet with yellow gives us a red leaning brown. The ultramarine violet has more blue and the manganese more red. These mixes are not in my bucket of spring flowers, but they are good starting points. The manganese mix is too purple, so adding some yellow-orange, Indian yellow, warms it up and makes it more orange-red. To get that mucky green, I mix azillion crimson, a cool red, with phthalo green and Indian yellow. The phthalo makes everything dark, but adding yellow lightens it without cooling it down too much. Mix browns with yellows to create deeper values. Here are examples of using raw umber and burnt umber. Cool highlights. Some of the highlights are cool, reflecting the white of my studio. I use the same process. What do I need to mix with the paint from the tube to get to where I want to be? It is a muted green, so using the warm King's Blue Deep with the cool cadmium yellow lemon does the job. I can add more white for the lighter values. King's Blue Deep is a convenience mix, as it is pre-mixed with white. It is great for skies and shadows of light objects. If you don't have this, add white to your warm blue and mix it with your cool yellow. Another way to tackle this is to add red to a bright yellow-green. The warm red and the cool red give a slightly different leaning to the green. If I wanted these to match the first mix, I wouldn't add as much white and would add more blue. The dark green values. Mixing phthalo green and manganese violet creates a deep green. It is too blue, so I add cadmium yellow lemon. It isn't orange warm enough, so I add some Indian yellow. My leaves are so orange because they are in an orange bucket. Here you can see how different they would look if they were surrounded by white. Putting different colours in would change the colours of the leaves again. Naturally, the most important thing to start any painting is the values. Start with your shadow shapes and your light shapes.